So, we're getting a collaboration with another totally obscure gacha game that you probably never heard of. And today I want to explain why you should care. Kind of. On this channel we're talking about egos and abnormalities, and this time is no exception. Except abnormalities are anime girls and boys. Boy. Why did those sinners get those operators? Who are those operators at all? And everything like that. Let's start with Ishmael, who got the ego of Scotty. The obvious thing is, Scotty is an all-around water aesthetic character. She comes from the race of E.G.O. They're a sea folk based on the different types of marine creatures with diverse spectrum of humanoidness, and Scotty specifically is a cetacean, a killer whale. Her family were slaughtered by seaborns, a race of aquatic monsters with high mind, and she was taken by the Abyssal Hunters, an organization that fights seaborn with the power of seaborn. They infused themselves with those monsters, turning into E.G.O. seaborn hybrids. So, she became partly something that she wishes to destroy. You already can see parallels with Ishmael and Ahab, but we are just starting. Key moment in the story of Abyssal Hunters is when they tried to kill Ishmael, one of 4 firstborn, also known as Leviathans, godlike creatures that seaborns are from. Almost none of Abyssal Hunters survived, leaving Scotty stranded alone. And after that she became a bounty hunter, traveling here and there until eventually getting employed by the Rhodes Island. So, unpacking. Ishmael is obviously Moby Dick, one of 4 firstborn, just like one of 5 calamities of the Great Lake. Wiki even says that its name can be a reference to Ishmael, which is wild, but I honestly thought about that too when I first saw it. She lost everyone who was close to her and left stranding until the main hero's organization picks her up. And like, Scotty is a very close person. She doesn't want to make any connection to anyone. Mostly because she fears that her seaborn part can overtake her and she could harm people. Scotty claims everyone who has ever been close to her has met an untimely end, and as such, she has avoided socializing altogether. While part about being a danger doesn't really fit Ishmael, this overall mindset kind of does. She switched a lot of offices, not making any meaningful connections, because those who she cared about died, and now everything that she can think of is revenge. But Scotty is not just partly a seaborn. The battle against Ishmael, even with ginormous losses, was a success. The Leviathan was killed. But his blood has infused with Scotty, making them one and the same. They are both, after their respective incidents, became like a thing that made this happen. Scotty even has an identity of her own. There's an operator in the game, an alternative version of Scotty that surrendered fully into the firstborn influence. Scotty the Corrupted Heart. Like, you know, Captain Ishmael. What do I even need to say? By the way, one ability of this Scotty is summoning a seaborn, and E.G.O's corrosion form is definitely referencing it. Pretty important part of Scotty's iconography is singing. She thinks to herself when nobody is around, something that is stated to be imbued with a sense of tremendous sorrow. She sings in the story, one of her skills is named Tidal Elegy, it is where E.G.O's names come from by the way, and the end of her story in the Corrupted Heart version is her sacrificing herself to create another universe in form of a song. After she devoured this one. So, it's not precisely works with Ishmael, but the whole elegy aesthetic works wonderfully on her. This is why I want Funerals of the Dead Butterflies Ego on her, a solemn lament to fallen mates. Singing also can be tied to, like, sirens, lake creatures, you know? Another thing. This. If you were told that this phrase belongs to one of the sinners, who do you think would have said that? Yeah, exactly. And before we end this section, you know Ishmael's main theme, like what her canto was about? The compass. Being yourself, finding yourself, without constriction from the past. And this is how Scotty's The Corrupted Heart promotion record ends. You are who you are, plain and simple. Scotty, you are yourself. Your job and your role are nothing more than the results of your interests. You are not your dreams yet, Miss Scotty. That's right. How about trying to become a regular operator at Rhodes Island, for real this time? Quick reminder that I actually have Patreon and Boosty, that sometimes even has some posts on it. But it is mainly just a way to support me, so if you like what I do, check it out. I don't plan on stopping anytime soon. Next on our list is operator Lin, with Hanlu on the receiving end. Again, matching aesthetics are on the nose. She's a Chinese character down to the bone. She comes from a pretty large, in a way royal family, with their own share of complex relationships and siblings that are actually antagonists in the story. Their family is actually fragments of ancient godlike dragon, Sui. Sui was defeated and shattered into 12 pieces that eventually gained consciousness and their own unique personalities. They were awakening one by one when they found an answer to the question, who am I? This question plays a big part into Lynn's character, and it also works on Hanlu well. Heir of their family, precious jade, sinner. Even the fact that he chose his own name. While not as important as with Ishmael's case, an idea of finding and being true to yourself is a big thing for him. Also, while Jade's origin is a bit more down to earth in the game, in Dream of the Red Chamber it's literal piece of the sky. So they share a heavenly origin. And another also, dragons are of course already an iconography that is associated with Hanlu. Anyway, continuing with Link's lore. And how one found the answer was down to oneself. Painting art, playing chess, sowing seeds, forging swords, composing poetry. All each to their own, all found their own happiness, and within each one's joy was their answer. Each fragment is tied with some sort of art, and in Lynn's case it's poetry. There's a lot of references to Chinese classics in her. One of it is her skill to remain oneself, from which E.G.O names from. And she herself is based on Chinese poets Li Bai and Xin Qiji. This is perfect for Hanlu. He is, you will be shocked, based on a Chinese classic that has a lot of poems in it. And while love to literature is not exactly a big trait of Hanlu, it is actually for Diabaoyu from the book. Despite his strict Confucianistic upbringing, he's into books like Zhuangzi. Here's his quoting The Tree on the Mountain from it. And here Lin references the butterfly dream, which you probably heard by the way from the same Zhuangzi. Do you see how close they are? Another key idea for Lin is dreams. Never did I say I could explain dreams, I'm merely a frequent dreamer of my own. She can travel through them, bend reality, gain knowledge you couldn't otherwise, and overall blend the line between dreams and reality. Obviously, dreams aren't real, no need to panic, but if she does one day stop believing in falsity of dreams, in any of the laws of this world have a meaning that not even I know what she might become. That's root from a lot of interesting philosophical concepts, like having entirely different life in the dreams, or even something like a dreaming god. While all of this, again, not really relevant on Canto 8, they sadly showed surprisingly low amounts of things from the book, this is a key motive from it. A blurred line between dreams and reality, between truth and fiction. Truth becomes fiction when the fiction's true, real becomes not real when the unreal's real, and all of that. Baoyu regularly ventures into the land of illusion, a dream world that his base ego is representing, and gains a lot of unreachable and other means knowledge. You can check out my dedicated Canto 8 before Canto 8 video. Even if it is my biggest shame, because none of the predictions have landed, I explained some interesting stuff from the book there. And before moving on, some small stuff. The word closely related to her is unfettered. She's who she wants to be. She's free, uncaring, windy, brave aspect, all of that. She has this specific awesome vibe that does not really translate to Hanlu, but it can be attributed to him in a way after everything he goes through in the story. She also is a drunkard. That fits mentioned aesthetic, but like a complete miss on the sinner's part. Still, we can attach some things about coping, escaping reality, and all of that to make it work even if so little. Oh, and also, his corrosion phrase is I guess referred to this part of poem in her promotion record. It can probably be the same phrase even, but navigating translations is like a game of broken phone. With Limbus quoting Arknights Chinese to Korean translation, me looking at his Korean to English translation, and cross-referencing it with Arknights Chinese to English translation. Also, her tail is like her brush for writing. She's a smeargle. Isn't it cool? Next is Faust with Kal'tsit. When you first look at her, you might think, wow, it's a smart character that fights alone with some artificial creature. That creature even has its own personality and all, eventually having a full-blown humanoid form. And Faust is not that thing? She's getting content from humans that works with it? It's a Faust content that alludes to the Faust from the book, not the homunculus? But no, Kal'tsit is an artificial creature too, so it's again homunculus themed. Haha, love it. Yeah, if you didn't know, Faust being homunculus is a popular theory in the community, because like, comically large amount of things. So, again, the general vibe of the characters are just really similar. They are both an all-knowing scientist kind of character that has a closer relationship with the protagonist than most, knowing their life before their amnesia. As I already said, Kal'tsit is some kind of homunculus herself. She was built by an ancient race to assist people and ensure survival. She was built an eternity ago and died countless times, but by her nature she can't really die, she reborns. Flow of time is a prevalent theme here. She watched as culture shift, empires fall, and all of that, while she stayed. Eventually, she comes to serve the king of Sarkas, Teresa, with whom she develops a close connection. And when Teresa eventually dies, as a result of a war, she continues pursuing their goals, now in the Rhodes Island. And even though she hated Doctor, blaming them for King's death, going as far as wanting them dead, she worked with them because of a promise made to Teresa to defend them and Amia. So yeah, vibe of eternal servitude. She was made for something, for people. Whether she directly serves predecessors Teresa or Rhodes Island, she continues her goal, fulfilling her orders.
My hope? It is to protect yours and Amia's hopes, Doctor. Though our definitions of protect have nothing in common, it's an oath I will never abandon. I will be standing here with you until the very end. We are unable to forget the past, but a different future may await you.
It's like she exists for someone else. She as an individual doesn't mean much, and this pretty much sounds like Faust. It is always hard to talk about her, because Canto 12 isn't even on the horizons yet. But Faust, most probably, is Homunculus, and she's closer with the company than any other sinner, being there even before the guide. She serves them. Company's goals are the most important thing. A being made for achieving company's goals. Big thing in her is the concept of Gesellschaft and Gemeinschaft. She's a corporate with a corporate speech that prioritizes works over anything else. But when her connection to the Gesellschaft is severed, we see another version of Faust that's more like humane. And in this brief moment, she bonds with sinners more than at any point of the whole previous adventure. Kal'tsit, I sense your loneliness, because you feel you have none of the same kind. Kal'tsit, you shall have my answer at the very end. I hope the roads can be a place you name home, an island you may always return. This is a part of Teresa's last letter to Kal'tsit. Her nature makes her lonely. By design she's something different, and Rhodes Island is a place where it changed. It's a found family of hers. And just like that, I believe that Faust's arc will be somewhat about it. That she will learn to cherish sinners. That they would feel like something akin to a family, in contrast to cold corporates in the company. As for other things, pretty interesting that her E.G.O animation is the only one where the operators herself joined. Like, I can see the continuation of the narrative that she just serves someone. She's not making this attack by her own, but with the help of its owner. And her corrosion is the same idea, she becomes monster, which Kal'tsit usually commands. Her phrases are really cool by the way, a nice dichotomy. In Awakening she talks about the future as something hopeful and bright. And Corrosion is still about the future, but this time future represents an endless flow of time that she must endure by herself. Name is again one of her skills by the way. Oh, and she has a skill called Remnant, just like Lobotomy Corp Remnant Faust? What? And our final E.G.O, Mlynar on Gregor. Vibe-wise, like everyone else here, it's great and obvious. He's an old, disappointed in life, depressed tank that starts every morning with a newspaper. Descendant of a noble family of knights, he once was a legendary hero, but now he's a relic of the past. After the incident in which his brother and his wife went missing, he spent years searching for them, and that changed him. The world also changed. He disdains everything about current day knights, because now knights are about entertainment. It's a commercialized business. I don't care, father. Must knights prove themselves through victory? The men in the arenas never seem more brilliant simply because they manage to maul more of their opponents. Knights should stand with those in distress, those with nothing but a cloth on their back. This alone I will always believe in. Now he's just a salaryman. Head to work, do my job, get off work, go home. He can only watch as the world of the past is crumbling around him, while doing nothing. His niece Margaret shares the sentiment, and vocally stands against what knights has become. This put a target on her back, so Mlyna's father made a plan to save her through exile. But grown up and trained, she returned to regain honor of the knights, which infuriated Mlynar. To him, trying to change something is naive and meaningless. Worlds have changed. Greatness of the past can be returned. He challenged her to a duel to forcefully change her mind, but he lost it. and even if what she was doing was successful, he could not support her, believing that it is all an idealistic silly mistake. He does not really have a place. He doesn't support today's customs, nor does he support those who tried to break it. He's just an old man with a grudge against the world that lives in the past. Eventually he leaves everyone to resume his search. Perhaps the thing of old that seems overly wonderful can no longer exist, much like the last rays of sunset. So, yeah, an old man with a grudge against the world without a place in it. This is just Gregor. Knights, while aesthetics that surely would be more befitting of Don Quixote, here works as E.G.O soldiers. Once brave warriors that fought for their wing, now gross monsters. That made me think, imagine how cool it will be to get Don Quixote as Margaret. Like, idealistic portrayal of fixers, an attempt to make fixers more akin to what she imagines them. And this would also show a pretty rare dynamic between her and Gregor. Anyway, while it's of course not one-to-one, probably with the least solid out of all four, the vibe is still undeniable. I'm getting a roll on here, honestly. The whole that's that debacle, and the idea that you can change how the world works. Other things, it sounds bad, but being pathetic is a large part of Gregor's character, and it traces to her too. Like, now he's at least works with Rhode Silent, but before, he, again, once a legendary hero of the past, was in an absolutely random and remarkable corporation that primarily sold construction materials. He wears one glove. Of course Gregor is getting someone with a symmetric arm design. He also is a Pegasus, and Gregor was a horse. His phrases are pretty cool, the first one being all about knightly honor and glory, and like great things of the past, and corrosion is about how bad today is. Corrosions often work like this, and I love it. It's two sides of the same concept, here's being something like nostalgia. The good side of it is being proud of things of the past, but taking this to the radical extreme of hating everything not from the past is something not so cool. And here we are! Every E.G.O from the collaboration analyzed. Hope you like it, and hope it sparked interest for Arknights even for a bit. I never touched Arknights before this video, and I'm largely making it as a reason to care. And it made me care. This world is surprisingly complex. I really loved things that I saw. But, of course, I could have made some mistakes or just missed some interesting points about character connections. So, feel free to point it out. I'm interested in reading it. As always, thank you for watching. If you like it, you can support me on Patreon/Boosty. Thanks to my manager Vlask. Like and subscribe, I guess.